quickly, let me ask you exactly how that would work. Let's say that I'm at a newspaper and I'm going to read one of my favorite columnists. What could I do there with Anywhere that I couldn't do before?
Well, the big thing that @Anywhere does is reduce friction. So you could be reading your favorite columnist, and it depends a lot on how sites integrate it. So there aren't really strict rules around it. Like most things we build with Twitter, we leave a lot of the innovation up to developers and third parties. So there's a lot that can be done with this that we can't even anticipate. But some of the obvious things are you can easily tweet from the column itself if you want to tell people about it. And then the big thing is you may just want to follow the columnist, so they can easily put in a follow this without going back to Twitter.
So straight from his byline.
Straight from the byline, and that's a big thing because one of the things we found with Twitter is that discovery is one of the hardest challenges because there's thousands of topics or people or authors or bands you may want to follow, and it's putting these in context where you're already becoming aware of them or you're reading about them, and Twitter is a very easy way to keep in touch.
Right. Okay, so I can see the benefits if I'm a user. It helps me contextualize a lot of the information and it slashes my discovery costs. If I'm a site, what are the sort of key benefits for me? What is it going to do?
A couple things. One is just give you a connection back to users that you didn't necessarily have before, and keep them coming back. And we hear from sites all the time that Twitter drives in tons of traffic if people are following them. So it should result in more followers for a site and just sending out links. It should also hopefully result in more people who are your fans or who are your audience using Twitter, talking amongst themselves and talking about your content. So hopefully it becomes just a richer experience. You can also do lots of other things. You can bring in those users' tweets into your site. You can create a whole community or sub-community with it.
That's really interesting. It seems almost like it's a platform to let sites really juice up their network and viral effects in a way.
Hopefully so.
You said something really interesting a couple of minutes ago when you were introducing it. You said, this is not an ad platform, it's an at platform. And it seems to me that through this, you're almost hoping to let people and organizations build stronger relationships.
That's the goal. I mean, that's the goal of Twitter in general. So this is really about lowering the barrier to that.
Right, and to give people better information and help them connect and put it in a stronger context. So that's really interesting to me, and I want to maybe discuss for a while why I think that's so interesting. At my blog at Harvard Business Review, I've been discussing for the last year or two, as you know, what kind of makes 21st century businesses different. And it seems to me that Twitter kind of meets some, maybe all of the criteria. But I want to discuss some of them with you and kind of explore what has led you to things like Anywhere, the ad platform. And the first principle to me is about experimentation. And so I want to ask you the opposite of what many people probably ask you, which is, what's your business model? I want to ask you, why are you willing to explore different business model possibilities, like Anywhere?
Experimentation is really what leads you to creating value. And one of the big lessons that I've learned over and over as an entrepreneur is whatever you assume when you start out, you're wrong.
Right.
And so the process of building a business or a successful product is about figuring out how you're wrong and iterating and correcting that as quickly as possible.
Right.
And so creating a business model is no different in my mind because it's about creating value and creating the right product. So inevitably it's going to take experimentation. I think most of the great businesses of our times have experimented. Their original, Google started out thinking that they were going to sell search services.
That's right. Yeah. And so you're willing to explore these different business model possibilities in a sense because you're focusing on creating the most value you can and then trying to capture a slice of the value. Is that kind of one way to put it?
We're still focused pretty much on how do we create the best experience for users and businesses. And one of the cool things about Twitter is from nearly the beginning, although there's lots of speculation about how do we create a business out of this, is there's tons of business use on Twitter today,
Right.
and it's one of the biggest ways that it's used by users. Users are opting into commercial messages all the time,
Right.
and we just want to make that better, easier, faster.
Right.